Welcome to You, the People. In this program, we will provide you with interviews and information from and about the people who affect your lives. Our program may include conversations with candidates, elected or appointed officials, town department heads, and more. We will delve into the kitchen table issues that make a difference in our towns and region. I'm your host, Julie Thompson. Let's get started. Good day. Today we are so pleased to welcome Bill Ramsey, who is the Hingham Select Board Chair. Welcome again.
Good to see you again, Julie. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you back. Okay, let's do some town updates. But before we do an update, you got to explain the background. So the Center for Active Living is a big project going on. Talk about where it's been in the past, where it is now, and what's the future of it.
So we've spent the entire summer really talking about the Center for Active Living.
Mm-hmm.
It's our biggest capital focus right now as a board. It's getting a lot of attention on social media in town. A lot of people talking about it. Our meetings have been very well attended. So when I last met you, I talked about where the project started. So probably was June.
Yep.
Now, with the point we're at now is we are at a proposal to build a 25,900 foot building that's going to cost, the total debt exclusion is going to be $29 million.
Okay.
During the summer, we had a series of different meetings. We've talked about the site location twice.
Yep.
We talked about cost twice.
Mm-hmm.
We had the building committee had a meeting about sustainability, like how do we make the building environmentally friendly.
Yep.
And we've talked about other topics. So like we're at the point now where we've looking at, where do we go from here going forward?
Mm-hmm.
The project will be going through the next couple of weeks, going through developmental design, which is a big stage. We're going to reach that point in December.
Yep.
I think in December, ultimately the building committee will then come forward with a recommendation to the select board about the building itself. The select board will then vote on the article for town meeting.
Yep.
That will be reviewed by the advisory committee, and we'll go from there. But we're still having regular meetings about it. Just last Tuesday night, we had our town real estate council come and talk to us about the project. We received a letter from the Secretary of Environmental Affairs indicating that the Article 97 legislation involved that legislation involves a land swap. So because we're taking land outside of Bear Cove Park, we had to swap conservation land from another spot of Hingham.
Okay.
And it's a legal process that goes to the legislature, and the value of the land has to be equal or greater in value.
Okay.
So if it wasn't, that could stop the process.
Okay.
But the secretary came back and said that it was equal or greater, and also said that the site of the building is suitable for, the location is suitable for the purpose.
Okay.
So now the bill moves through the legislature. It's going to have 3 readings in the House, going to pass by 2/3. Going to have 3 readings in the Senate, going to pass by 2/3. And then once that happens, we have approval for the state sign off for the process.
So why does it have to go to the House and Senate where this is a town initiative for anyone who doesn't understand how that works?
Yeah, under Massachusetts law, when you take conservation land, you have to exchange it for other conservation land. So
Okay.
it has to be equal or greater in value than it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have to give you the thumbs up before any of this can proceed if you want to use that particular parcel to build on.
Absolutely correct. We also had to get approval from the National Park Service because, with a big part of Hingham, a lot of our land was federally owned during the World War II and before World War II. The shipyard, Wampatuck, Turkey Hill, and Bear Cove Park was a naval ammunition detail depot during World War II. A lot of people don't know, but actually JFK actually trained there when he was a young naval officer to learn about munitions.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, pre-war. Yeah, very interesting.
Okay, so let's say that goes through the House and the Senate, you get the land swap. It still is up to the people of Hingham to decide whether or not they're going to fund this, correct?
So ultimately, as I said earlier, the select board will look at the recommendation of the building committee.
Yep.
Then we will put forth an article. Either we'll agree with the recommendation, or we'll maybe something smaller, lower cost, and then we will now move that, put it on the warrant. The advisory committee will make a recommendation on the article. So they will either vote in favor of the article. They could vote no action on the article and offer an alternative motion. But ultimately, town meeting is going to have to decide the issue. And it's going to have to be 2/3.
Right.
So it is a high hurdle, which is why I'm glad there's a lot of interest in the project now, because we're working really hard to answer questions and get out in front of some of these issues. And then after the town meeting vote 2/3, it has to go to the ballot. A ballot vote because it's a debt exclusion, requiring a majority of residents to support it at the ballot.
Okay.
So there's a lot of steps involved. We did this, as you may remember, we did this about 3 years ago when I was the chair, where we did a new foster school. We did a public safety facility.
Yep.
So, I know how the process works.
Yep.
Did it in those 2 projects, and we're doing it again here.
Right.
So we have a long way to go until April till we get this done. But I'm trying to work hard now to get these issues discussed, resolved, get people talking about them, and see where we can go in the process.
Okay. So for this public safety building, clearly everyone in town benefits from that.
Sure.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
A school, there's a school population that benefits from that.
Yeah.
The senior center is the senior population that benefits from that.
Correct.
What is it about Hingham's senior population that requires you to create this new building at this time?
Well, the current Center for Active Living is at Town Hall. It's about 5,000 square feet. It's woefully inadequate.
Wow.
I think,
Tiny.
I think everybody would agree that when that was built in probably the late '90s, early 2000s, it was a very small facility for our senior population,
Right.
And we've just outgrown it. It's old. Our seniors, it's a wonderful community, but they want a better
Sure.
better service, a better facility. We have a phenomenal director of elder affairs in Jennifer Young, who's doing some great work in the town. But that's really what's driving it. Is it's currently inadequate. We were looking to move into Town Hall. I think we always wanted to try to expand our Town Hall facility. That was an option on the table.
Right.
It was studied by the building committee for a year. Some issues that came up were parking inadequacies.
Right, yeah.
There was a proposal to maybe build a parking lot on a field behind Town Hall. It's
Yeah.
a popular baseball field. A
Yeah.
lot of objections
Yeah,
from
yeah.
neighbors.
Understandable.
And also
Yep.
Americans with Disability Act compliance issues make the existing space impossible to do it at.
Sure.
So that's why we pivoted some different locations, and ultimately town meeting voted last spring to go to outside of Bear Cove Park.
Okay. And do you know what the population of seniors is in the town of Hingham?
I know it's growing. I don't know it offhand.
Okay.
I know that we a lot of the data we talked about at meetings talked about the trend and increase in
Oh, yeah.
population.
In every town.
Every town
Yeah.
on the South Shore, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
if you look at a 60-year-old resident, it qualifies as a senior.
Sure.
So I think in 10 years, it's going to significantly increase.
Yeah.
So the center will be servicing a lot more.
Exactly.
A lot more residents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just serve seniors, too.
It does.
Yeah.
It's focused on seniors.
Exactly.
We're going to try to make it as intergenerational as possible, but the focus is on seniors.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Now, the Weir River Water Company is, Hingham took that over, right?
Correct.
So you have your own water supply, basically.
We do.
Okay, which is unusual because most towns don't. Okay, tell me about what's going on right now with that.
Yeah. So, it's Hingham based, but we also service Hall and Cohasset.
Okay.
So all the other towns have, in terms of the governance, the Hingham Select Board are the water commissioners.
Yep.
But the other towns do have say into our governance structure. We have a Citizens Advisory Board that has representatives of the other towns.
Okay.
We have Hingham residents on there as well.
Yep.
So, we looked at this summer, we had a series of and to come together to try to address some of these issues we're having. And we learned a couple of things. We learned that the system itself is very old. Some
Right.
of these pipes go back to the early 1900s.
Right, very old.
Very old,
Yeah.
right? So that's an issue. Pressure is a major issue. So water pressure and the fluctuation of pressures is a major issue. But we learned that, we're going to use technology and look at some other areas where we can make some capital improvements. The valves that connect the pipes are a big problem. And I learned by studying this that those valves have to be identified as to where they are, and we have to get in and fix them. Now, it's tedious, it's costly.
Sure.
It's hard to figure out where they are.
Yeah.
So we're using some new technology to try to better identify where the valves are and try to get out in front of the trouble areas or the valves that may be older and may be causing more problems.
Yep.
Another thing we're doing is we're doing a fire hydrant uniform directional flushing program. What that is, we flush our hydrants that alleviates pressure within the system.
Sure.
It also cleans the pipe. So it cleans sedimentation out of the pipes.
Yeah.
It also cleans so that brown water issues are mitigated.
Yeah.
I can't say we're not going to continue to have water main breaks. We are.
Sure.
But what I'm trying to do is, okay, where do we think there's going to be breaks?
Yeah.
How can we get out in front of them with capital and fix these problems
Right.
now? A couple of capital projects coming up people should know about, and how we're going to have Manomet, Samoset Road are going to be redone.
Yeah.
On Hingham, we're going to have Main Street. That's an old pipeline, long street. And then the 3A Summer Street project is also a big project we have coming up. So
the water system is something that you're going to have to constantly maintain, constantly upgrade piece by piece. It's not something you can do all at once, clearly. No. Okay. And so this is just going to be an ongoing, well, water is an ongoing thing, just like septic is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Talk to me about the healthcare task force initiative that's going on in Hingham. It's kind of unique.
Great question. So we, one of the issues we have in Hingham is, one of the things we've pledged to do better is our healthcare and how the town shares healthcare costs with our employees.
Okay.
So during collective bargaining, our personnel board constantly hears about issues related to that share. It's 50-50 right now, which is very, very low. It's one of the lowest in the areas, and that's a concern for me. I hear a lot from residents about it, hearing a lot from
when you
employees.
say 50-50 is very low, you mean the town pays 50% and the
employee pays
50%. What does a typical town do?
70-30,
okay.
maybe 80-20.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I know
so
some
low.
towns have 90-10. I mean, so we need to figure out how we can do that better.
Okay.
So what the board talked to the town administrator about is putting like a task force together, a working group, town administrators on it. Robert, our assistant town administrator, is on it. We have Lynn Carroll from the personnel board, Liz Klein from the select board, and we hired a consultant. So what we're doing right now is studying different plans. So the consultant's going to present the select board with some options for trying to increase how our plans work, how to create better healthcare options for our employees, and some viable alternatives. So we're looking at options right now. I'm looking forward to a public meeting on it soon to discuss this in more detail with the public. But it's an issue for our employees. I think we need to do better there.
Yeah, and this includes town employees and school employees?
Yes.
Okay, so
all covered by the same plan.
They're all covered by the same plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any plans that you could co-op with other communities that are like regional plans? Or is there anything out there that you can do?
So I'm not aware of those options, but I know that's why we hired a consultant to see if there are options where we can do share costs or anything. But there are other plans out there from municipalities. I know they're out there, and I know that we can probably figure out viable alternatives.
I think there's county plans too.
County
sponsored health plans.
So there's ways we can look at it and what we can do to make it better. And I just want to try to move that needle a little bit on that percentage.
Right.
Obviously, everything comes with a cost. Going to require public discussion.
Sure.
But right now, we're kind of in the stages of studying it. I've been asked by a lot of employees about it. Members of the personnel board have approached me and said, you got to really look at that.
Yeah.
But more to come on that issue. But we are like diving in, trying to make it better, look at different options.
And especially now where healthcare costs are just going up substantially
significantly
for everyone, whether your private employer pays for it or you pay for it off the exchange or wherever it is. It's a huge issue, and it's something that not one town can tackle. Hopefully the state will do something to step in and help municipalities, especially.
But this municipal government getting very expensive. It really is.
Yeah.
And our collective bargaining agreements are showing that we have to pay our people more because of inflationary costs, because of the cost of living.
Yeah.
And so this is one area I think we can try to make things better for them.
Sure.
So I'm diving in and see where we land.
Yeah, because you don't want that to be a reason why you can't hire the best of the best for the town of Hingham. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
And that's a great point, because our collective bargaining agreements for the fire and police have been improved this cycle. We have seen more police officers coming into our department. Public safety, I think this facility helps as well.
Absolutely.
But that collective bargaining agreement has brought new officers in.
Yeah.
Experienced officers, so we don't have to send them to the academy.
Yeah.
We've seen better retention amongst our fire department, and just morale has improved.
Great.
We got a very nice letter from the police union a couple months ago thanking us and the personnel board for the way the negotiations were handled, where we landed on it, for looking at some of these issues and really trying to do right by our employees. That's important to me that we do that.
That's wonderful. That's great. Okay. What are some of the options that Hingham or any town has to raise revenue for the town aside from obviously taxes?
Yeah, property taxes is a big way to do it, right? But that requires a process. People complain about it quite a bit. It's just we've used property tax increases last couple of years to manage our increased costs. One of the things that I want to do this year is we have a surplus of town buildings that we're not using. These are buildings we're not using. We lease them in some situations, but the lease isn't really allowing us to make a profit. It's really not even covering our debt service. So my feeling is, why are we holding on to these buildings? We can sell these buildings. Yeah. We can, add to our fund balance in terms of money that would come from the sale of real property. So that's a big initiative for me. There's one building we've already kind of discussed publicly about possibly selling through a town meeting article. There's a second building I want to maybe put an article forward this year as well. But it's a process. You've got to, the board would have to vote on it, have to put forth town meeting articles, reviewed by advisory, and ultimately approved by town meeting. Yeah. And we tried that a couple years ago, and there was one building that the town meeting voted not to sell it.
What was the reason behind it?
It's a historical value. I mean, we can put a historical preservation lien on there that would keep its historical. The nature of the building would remain the same. There was a tenant at the time that's very popular, and he'd been a great tenant. But ultimately, we don't hold on to properties so someone could run their business out of there in perpetuity. The town needs revenue. We're hearing it from residents. This is one way we can do it. A second thing I'm eyeing about is a real estate transfer tax.
Which is?
So that would allow, if somebody is selling their home, the buyer would put a percentage of the sale into a tax for the municipality. So like 1% of the sale.
I think Plymouth did that.
Plymouth, I think, and Nantucket does it. I think the Vineyard does it. And that money would be great to use for operations, for climate initiatives, for affordable housing would be a wonderful way to use that money. So we proposed an article a couple of years ago to have town meeting vote on that tax. Our advisory committee did not support it, so we pulled it. But now, since that time, communities have been seem to be more comfortable with it. It's still kind of held up with the legislature. But as soon as that goes, I'm certainly going to move that forward again. It's a great way to do it. And average home in Hingham right now is $1.3 million. It's out of control. $1.3 million. So that tax money could be a significant boost to our
huge.
Yeah, and again, the buyer doesn't pay anything. I'm sorry, the seller
doesn't pay. The buyer does.
Yeah, the buyer would. And what we did last time, we excluded homes under $700,000 or a certain number. We limited the percentage of what they would pay. So I thought we put forth a really good article in terms of protecting low-income individuals who want to come into Hingham, and also not completely, hammer in the buyer. Like it was a tax, certainly, and no one wants to pay more tax, but it was a tax that was going to go to, like I said, affordable housing or some initiative in town, climate, or things that we could use money for, school budget, something like that. So
there's always something that needs money, absolutely, in the town. What about ADUs? Do you have many of those, which are accessory dwelling units that you can put attached to your home or as a separate standalone on your own property? Do you have many of those? We allow both. Okay. So we have seen town meeting approved attached ADUs relatively quickly. We had a kind of a bigger debate on detached ADUs. Now the state laws that have trumped the municipal, the local rule petition. So now the state law kind of governs that. Dictates it. We haven't, since that was passed, we haven't seen a lot of ADUs in Hingham detached. I think maybe 3 or 4. That's it? It's a very low number. Very low number. We've seen a lot of attached, and a lot of residents who have aging parents, which is a perfect, or disabled adult child, right? So there's a lot of good reasons. Or kids coming back from college that can't afford to buy their own house. 100%. Yeah, help them save up before they go back to buy a house. Exactly. Now, what about affordable housing in Hingham? Do you meet the 10% criteria? We do meet the 10% criteria. We've been there for about... Which means you can say no to any 40B development that you want to. Correct. They would have to go through the local zoning process, right? They can't bypass it. So we have met that now for about, I think, maybe 6 or 7 years. So it's been a couple of years. The previous board worked hard to get there. Yeah, you're one of the few. One of the few, yes. And we're close. We're not way above the 10%, but I mean, but we're there. But we do still do a lot of affordable housing issues. We have an affordable housing trust. We have the Hingham Housing Authority that helps individuals lower income. We have the Lincoln School Apartments. Our affordable housing trust is always looking for opportunities to buy homes for. What about one of those empty buildings that you have? Could that ever be converted, or does that not fiscally make sense for the town? It would be difficult to do that, I think, financially. Obviously, we would discuss it before we made any moves, but that might be tough to do it. There are some options in town we're looking at as a board. We're going to see how things break there, but we would like to maybe expand our affordable housing inventory. Any way we can expand it, we're going to do it. Yeah. Because Hingham is such a unique town. I mean, you're a sea town, you're a community town, you're an historical town. You have everything in this town.
It's a great town.
It's
really
a magnificent town.
Great people.
Yeah, it really is.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for saying that.
no wonder it's expensive to live there because you really have it all.
Close to Boston.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Strong school system.
Yeah.
It's run really well. I mean.
Yeah, I just interviewed your new superintendent. Wow.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah, she's great. Katie,
she's
excellent.
terrific.
Yes, very
she's
nice.
terrific. Yeah. Now let's talk about the future moving forward.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that the select board has on their agenda, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road that you're thinking about?
I think we need to continue. Well, we have a lot of capital needs coming our way, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have the potential for school roofs are going to be coming. So we just got accepted into the MSBA process, which is great. So we're going to get MSBA funding for roofs.
They pay for like 80%.
It's significant.
70,
They
they pay a lot.
up to the high, which is significant for us, right? So we just got accepted into the cycle, which is fantastic, right?
Yep.
That's coming down the pipeline. Wharf walls will need to be addressed with climate change and rising sea levels. We're going to have to figure out ways to secure our harbor and the neighboring buildings around it. We have sewer systems that might be affected by that. We have the new school that could be affected by that. So we need to figure out a plan how to do that. And then, potential operational override at some point. It's going to also have to be addressed. So a lot coming our way. I think we need to figure out, people say, well, how do you plan for the future? I think you take them one at a time.
Yeah.
And you look at, okay, what's the need? What's the need? How are we going to address it? How do we keep the cost as low as possible and then move forward? Kind of like what we're trying to do with the Center for Active Living, right?
Yeah.
So, my direction to the OPM was cost. Keep the cost as low as possible. And he's still bringing the cost down. So I gave him a target of $30 million. He came in at 29 for the debt exclusion. And so I think we take these projects one at a time. We look at them. Obviously, we're thinking toward the future and trying to figure out how we will keep our place affordable. We have a great advisory committee that we work with. We have some great financial people in the town that we consult with. So, we certainly look at that. We're also going to put together a long-term strategic plan for capital that one of Julie Straley, our new select board member, is working on that, doing a great job with it. So, so we're looking at what's coming down the pipe all the time.
Right. So when you talk about capital projects, a lot of people think of new projects, but capital also has to be your maintenance of your existing everything.
Sure.
Right? Your existing schools, your existing town buildings, your infrastructure, your sewer, you don't have sewer, right? You have septic.
We do have sewer.
Oh, you do have public sewer?
For certain parts of the town.
Certain parts of the town,
Mostly North Hingham.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
okay.
a sewer district in North Hingham.
So all of that needs to be kept up on a rolling basis, correct? How much of capital is just simply maintaining what you have?
So for years, we kind of neglected our capital in town. Like our DPW trucks had been older and were kind of falling apart, and we had some other capital needs we weren't addressing. A couple of years ago, we decided in town meeting, agreed with us, that we put more money into our capital budget.
Yep.
So our capital outlay committee the last couple of years has been really focused on how do we look at what our needs are and address them. The DPW needs were significant.
Right.
The new chair of our capital outlay committee, George Danis, was a longtime advisory committee member. He was the chair of the advisory committee, and he is also, looking at some of these issues and making recommendations every year to us. That's one thing. The roofs at the school. Talked about that.
Yeah.
But I think what I'd like to do after this school project gets done, the roofs, I'd like to put together a standing building committee that is comprised of people with real professional backgrounds related to capital needs, and have that committee be a standing committee and constantly looking at our capital in town to see how we can address things now rather than later.
Head 'em off at the pass.
And the cost, And I think we learned from the school. We waited in the school, and then COVID hit a little bit. COVID hit. And that caused problems. The school probably went from maybe a $60 million school to a $120 million school. Like the cost was massive. So we have to, every time we look at a capital project, we have to look at the results of waiting. If we wait, how much more is the cost going to go up? What's inflation going to do?
Right. And every town goes through that.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about schools, there's not a lot of new construction in Hingham, right? There's not a lot of new building. There's not, right? Overall?
In terms of municipal buildings or private development?
Residential.
No.
Right.
No.
You're kind of built out.
Subdivisions pop up every once in a while.
But not many.
Not much, no.
So the population of your school if people don't move in that have young children or of school age is going down. Is that correct?
Our school population has been going down.
Okay.
This year, the superintendent told me recently that we've added, I think, 3 new kindergarten classes to the different schools. So that's a sign of increased enrollment.
Yep.
And
down the road.
Down the road. So we start with kindergarten, right?
Yep.
So the 3, might it be 4? I believe she said 3 new classes. So that's a sign that increased enrollment there. And I think last year we saw a steadier maintenance of students there.
Yep.
So, it's cyclical. After the pandemic, we saw a lot of people leave, and the numbers gone down. But the school committee, superintendent, confident that number's going to go back up. I kind of am too.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the new school is one reason. I mean, we're seeing enrollment in that district starting to rise up as well.
Yeah.
So,
and a great school system is one reason that families will move into a town.
yes,
I mean,
100%.
that's especially people that can afford the housing costs in Hingham. Generally, that's one of the big things they're going to look at.
The Crow Point area where that new school is, we're seeing more residents move in there.
Yeah.
Public safety facility
Yeah.
isn't far down the road from
Yep.
there either, but we're seeing more people move into that part of town.
Right. And lastly, we got about 5 minutes left. So talk about the process of if someone wants to bring something in front of the select board, or they have an issue about anything.
Yeah.
What is the process that a Hingham resident would use?
Well, I talk to residents every day.
Okay.
It's literally 7 days a week I talk to residents. So they'll email.
Yep.
So it might start with an email conversation,
Yep.
and then the email conversation usually leads to a phone call. They can come to our public comment session at meetings.
Yep.
They can write to we have a My Hingham app where you can write about a concern. People can log on to the app and tell us what their concern is if they have an issue about something. For a suggestion, they can come to our public comment section. We have a public comment section of our meetings every week. And just, email the board. I think me and my colleagues are pretty responsive to people. We try to be. Obviously, we can't respond to everybody, but I think we do try to be responsive. I meet people constantly for coffee or to do it. And we have a talent bank form, too, they can fill out if they want to volunteer.
Okay.
So we have, a number of different committees, a number of different volunteers serving on different committees. They can fill out the form. Every spring, the select board and the moderator interviews people for the committees, and we put them on either it's historical or it's a school-related committee,
Sure.
or it's we have conservation commission. We have so many different committees.
Do you have any problem filling those slots in those committees?
So that's good. That's a good question. Funny, after the pandemic, I remember one cycle we interviewed like 90 people. 90 people. It was crazy. So
Wow, that's a lot.
And then it kind of dropped off a little bit, but
Yeah.
the last 2 years I've seen an increase in it.
That's great.
Yeah. So we don't have all of our committees full, but we have a large number of them full.
Enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great. It definitely I've seen an increase. And do what's good too. A lot of former board members,
Yep.
a lot of former elected officials are trying to get back on. Back appointments to town committees, and it's
Yeah.
great to see that because they bring in great expertise,
Exactly. They
great
bring
dedication,
institutional knowledge too that oftentimes you need. And what are some of the biggest subject matters that people bring to your attention?
I would say, cost of living's coming up a lot lately with, where are we going with spending and are we going to mitigate taxes? Tax increases is a big one.
Yeah.
The status of the schools is always something that's
Yeah.
on people's mind. Roadway improvement is something we hear a little bit about.
Yeah.
And that's generally what I think addressed. But it can be a wide variety of comments
Right.
we get. I had an email from a young girl just yesterday asking me for to put a select board letter together for her mom for her birthday. So we get a lot of different constituency requests.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, we have one resident turning 109 next
Wow.
week. So we got a request to attend her birthday.
Absolutely.
109. Yeah, isn't that great? We're going to give her a town citation.
Good heavens.
Amazing, right?
That's fantastic.
Phyllis Chapman,
Yeah.
she's great.
Good for her.
109. Yeah.
109.
109.
Boy, she's seen a lot in
Amazing.
her lifetime.
Oh yeah. She has.
And lastly, what do you say to the residents of Hingham?
I thank you for the privilege to do this job. I'm honored to do it. I love doing it. I'm doing it for 6 years. Grew up in Hingham, been doing it my entire life. I love it. And I just thank you for your support and thanks for volunteering and making the town such a great place to live in.
Well, and I'm sure they're thanking you for
Thank you.
being
Thank you
here
for-
too.
thanks for saying that.
Wonderful. So it's been Bill and Julie, and we have been here for You the People. And until next time, have a good day.